The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
But to say that Void King, who this is what they say they are... Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to the last Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review for a while. This time, it's the Netflix hiatus instead of the Nickelodeon one. We've reached the end of Batch 1 of Dino Fury Second Era, and apparently we can expect Batch 2 really sometime in the future.
Vague. Adjective. Not clearly expressed, stated in indefinite terms.
It's also a bittersweet moment for me personally, but I can't talk about why just yet.
Ominous. Giving indication of a coming ill, being an evil omen, threatening, portentous, inauspicious.
A lovely three-part arc dealing with Void Knight's turn was followed up with...
Nothing to see here, please!
Will we get a sizzler here? An episode worthy of the several-month wait in store for those who binged the show all at once?
No, you won't.
Let's find out by taking a look at episode 11, the mid-season finale, The Copycat.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon.
Right you.
Outside Buzz Blast, Javi meets the other Rangers, who ask about a music competition he's in. He seems nervous, but confident. He'll be performing an original song of his, Spotlight, that the Rangers all love. Ollie even sings a little bit of it, and can't sing, as his soon-to-be girlfriend Amelia breaks to him gently. His dad comes along and, as he said, is now a big fan, asking him to run the song one more time for him. What I like about this is his attitude with Javi is the same with Izzy's athletics. Win the competition. The contest begins and yay, J-Borg are back. I forgot to mention it last time because when they aren't there, I don't even miss them. But yeah, no J-Borg last time, so that episode gets one little crumb of additional credit. Jane kicks off the event being streamed around the world. A la competition reality shows like Dancing with the Stars, the winner is decided by a combination of viewer votes and scores from a 3-judge panel. Interesting names these three have. Simon, Becca, and Alwyn. Yeah, this would be a cute reference to executive producer Simon Bennett and writers Becca Barnes and Alwyn Dale. By the by, Simon is wearing a black jacket over an orange shirt and tie. Very nice.
Fashion, turn to left, fashion, turn to right.
The first performer is Pop Pop. Last week, Pop Pop was a wise older man, a giver of sage advice with a little charming humor. This week, he's a fool. He fiddles a little number about fixing things, but stumbles around the stage, popping balloons, and ends up nearly injuring one of the judges, somehow firing his bow through Becca's hat. So here's a genuine surprise. The next performer is Blair, the stuck-up rocker from when the Rangers got the freeze key. Jane says Blair is now the former lead singer of the Screaming Zombies, so I guess the band got tired of him. He performs Javi's song, Spotlight. Couple of weird things here. He starts with the verse, of course, and the Rangers recognize the song right away. At the table, Javi only played the chorus, so we did not get to share that recognition with them until Blair got to the chorus. Secondly, sure, Javi should be mad about this, but Blair's rendition is better. It really works as a rock ballad. Javi stops everything, loudly declaring that's his song. Blair denies this and says if Javi's been performing that song, he's the one that did the copying. The judge's decision on this is baffling. They say there's no proof of who wrote the song, so Blair is free to perform it. They understand if Javi now has to come up with something new, so they'll slot him into the last spot the next day.
I don't get it.
First of all, Javi should absolutely have proof he wrote the song. A lyrics notebook? Demo tapes trying it out? It should not be hard to prove that he wrote it. And if the creator of the song is in question, why are they allowing Blair to perform it? Make them both come up with something else. Listen, I get that they're going for a sort of life isn't fair sometimes vibe here, but this isn't life being unfair. This is judges that deserve to hear this.
Your incompetence is staggering.
At Area 62, Mucus is watching the live stream, and the whole copying thing gives her an idea. She proposes it to Void Queen, but she says she's way ahead of her mushroom minion. Then she just walks over, activates the jukebox, and walks into the secret room. Yeah, she's doing to Tarek what she did to herself, covering him in the power of the Sporix. Kind of anticlimactic, though. The next morning at the base, Javi is so frustrated that he can't come up with anything. He's creatively blocked since he's so frustrated about Blair stealing his song. He contemplates pulling out of the contest, but Solon says you only fail when you no longer try. Not exactly the time-worn wisdom of the ancients, a fortune cookie message since the Rangers didn't clean up last night's dinner. They get an alert of a mysterious villain causing trouble at the stadium and head over. They head over there, though they aren't in or even near a stadium, just near some warehouses as it looks, and see what looks like a new robotic general making trouble. The voice is instantly familiar, so much so that the Rangers really should have recognized it, and he says he's glad to see the Rangers again. They morph, but to say that this Void King, as he calls himself, washes them is an understatement. Everyone but Zato and Javi is demorphed in basically 1 to 2 hits. Void King says he's much more powerful now, and they demand to know who he is. And he readily tells them, explaining how he was transformed by Void Queen and now serves her alone. Zato tells Javi to get them out of there, pulling out the Dino Knight Morpher. He transforms, and we get a morph sequence for it that reminded me of the Black Lion morph from Jungle Fury. The battle easily goes Zato's way at first. Suddenly, Void King summons a 2-bladed spear and does the Dino Knight Strike, Zato's finisher. Zato is stunned that Void King copied his attack, and so am I. Especially since he hadn't done it, so what was Void King copying? This gets worse. Back at the base, the 4 injured Rangers will be okay, but need to rest. Zato says Void King didn't just copy his finisher, he matched him move for move and perfectly copied his fighting style. One little tiny, maybe technical problem with that. No, he didn't! Zato beat Void King around until he copied the finisher, which he didn't even copy because it wasn't used on him in the first place. Javi has an interesting suggestion. Zato can fight himself and learn any weaknesses in the Dino Knight fighting style and finisher that he can use against Void King. They go outside and Javi uses the Morpher, and sadly, it's just the red suit. I thought for a second with the black undersuit that it might be an original black version, but no, the undersuit is always black.
Disappointed!
They start fighting, and Zato gets an idea when Javi activates the finisher. It's a spiraling, straightforward attack, so Zato does a matrix bend back and dodges the attack. Javi fires it up again, and nothing happens. The attack uses so much energy that can only be used once a fight. Zato charges in and wins the fight. Not really necessary, but hey. And they found the weakness that they've been looking for. They go back to base and explain this to Solon. Javi says he has to get back to the songwriting, and Zato suggests he use the same strategy in that. He thinks it's a great idea, and I'm sure glad he does, because when Zato said that, I said,
"What are you talking about?"
Solon says Void King is back at the stadium, or should we say he's now at the stadium. Zato heads there alone. I get not bringing the other four, but Javi's songwriting is not more important than protecting the city. He morphs, and we get more of an insta-morph for the Dino Knight armor, which was cool. Nothing about this episode makes any sense. Void King goes straight for the finisher, and Zato does not Matrix bend to dodge it. In fact, he doesn't dodge it at all. He takes the attack straight on, then sweeps it to the side. We even see that he does take some damage from it, a slash on one of his gauntlets. He fires up his finisher, and Void King goes to do it again. But, of course, the same limitation applies. Which also doesn't make any sense because Void King has an entirely different source of power. Zato's attack lands this time, enough to knock Void King back and send him running. At the base, the injured Rangers have more or less recovered. Zato returns, actually looking a bit roughed up. He explains what happened, and to his credit, Javi says that Zato should have told him. He's glad Javi's strategy worked, and Javi is glad to hear that because he plans to use the same against his Copycat, but he needs an assistant. Okay, fair warning here. I'm going to recap this scene, but as is the theme with this episode, it didn't make any sense. Javi takes the stage, and his mind-blowing strategy to counter Blair's copying is to perform Spotlight anyway. Oh, but it's different because Zato brings out all the instruments Javi has gotten good at. Keytar, electric guitar, even harmonica. Everyone loves it because of course they do. The inevitability of Javi winning the contest is only temporarily interrupted by Mucus submitting an entry remotely. Until Wreckmate blasts her. Javi wins. Still no redemption for Blair, which if anything hints to me that we'll see him yet again. And Warden Garcia is obsessed with the trophy. My heart is heavy, heroes. Let's balance the scales. Episode 11, The Copycat. Pros, more good original music. Void King is a nice plot twist. And a nice partnership with Zato and Javi. Cons, a complete lack of logic in the Ranger plot, a complete lack of logic in the human plot, and more overfocus on humanity versus Rangers. Losers Weepers was bad because it focused on the wrong things. The Copycat made that worse by also not making the first bit of sense. This stings. I hate doing this. But the Copycat gets 1 scale out of 5. I've said it numerous times, but I'll say it again. Lately, Power Rangers has been oddly good at original music. We get a pretty nice original song performed 3 different ways. Don't get me wrong, it's not a Grammy winner, but it's bubblegum pop, and I could see young girls that watch the show trying to find a way to put it on their iPod. May help that Chance Perez is himself a musician. But this goes all the way back to Ninja Steel with Levi, and even really Dino Charge. Making Void Knight a Sporix monster, or whatever he is a nice twist to the plot. I kind of wish they'd let the Rangers wonder what he was a little bit longer, but at the same time, I'm the one that's saying that they should have known his voice right off the bat, so yeah. His abilities and powers are confusing here to say the least, and we'll get to that, but clearly he's powerful, and while we haven't seen it yet, I'm sure not wanting to destroy him but to save him will be a factor. We've hit the dual focus part of the show, last week Ion and Izzy, and this week we build on the rapport between Zato and Javi that we saw a little bit when Javi was trying to convince Zato to trust Void Knight. Time to pair these Rangers off in a proper dual focus. Hey, maybe the second batch will feature the Ollie and Amelia focus episode that finally cements their relationship. These two, Zato and Javi, play well off of each other and really did come across as comrades. And now I'm done being nice. So, let's see here. Void King has the ability to copy an attack he's never seen before, but doing so carries the same technical limitation as the original attack. Zato learned to tank the attack so it can't be fired off again by dodging the attack, which causes considerable less damage to himself. And don't even try to give me that he can't bend backwards wearing that armor. This is Power Rangers. We have seen robots ride horses on the friggin' moon.
Shut up or f*** off, ideally both in either order.
Oh, but let's not let the criminally underweight Ranger plot hog the illogic when the bloated, overweight human plot can have some of it too. Javi accuses Blair of copying his song. The judges say there's no way to prove that, so Javi needs to, okay, they say he can, perform something else. So he decides to perform exactly the same song, just adding various instruments.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Here's the problem. The creation of that song is in dispute. It's an original song contest. If Blair and Javi each claim to have written it, someone is lying. Like I said during the recap, make them both perform a brand new song. They expected Javi to come up with something new in one day, and Blair is a professional musician. So, the key moment for me was this. Zato defeats Void King, and we cut back to the base. I had paused the episode to recap that part so I could see the timeline. And that we had 5 minutes left of a 22-minute episode. Nearly 23% of the episode was left, and the Ranger plot had been resolved. And we had to sit through the stupid, illogical, broken mess that was the resolution of the human plot.
Who cares?
Look, I don't want Super Mega Force, okay? I don't want a 20-minute fight scene with a moral painfully tacked on. But this is too far in the other direction. The Ranger plot was what was painfully tacked on this time. It feels like in this case, the writers thought they had a really cool idea for a music competition plot. And oh yeah, I guess it ties into how this monster copies attacks. I guess we can use that. I find myself at a crossroads, heroes. This is what Power Rangers is now. I can't say whether it's working or it isn't. We had some great episodes in this run, but some really bad ones too. It feels like, as hard as it tries, Power Rangers can't get away from bad habits. The worst being trying to cater to the lowest common denominator of its audience. This show is supposedly targeted at 4 to 7-year-olds. So it feels like they're writing it for 4-year-olds. That feeling is what plays into the bittersweet moment I mentioned earlier, and I will be explaining that in my next video to give it the proper moment that it deserves. Suffice it to say, for now, we do not have a next time on Dino Fury Second Era. That quote that I keep teasing, really sometime in the future, is all we have. For Season 1, there was a 4-month gap between Batch 1, June 15th, and Batch 2, October 15th. If that gap holds, Netflix wasn't the exclusive home back then, so we can't be sure, then Batch 2 would drop on July 3rd. And I'll be right there waiting to review those episodes. Right? Won't I?
Suspense.
So, until whenever really sometime in the future is, that's going to do it for Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era reviews. Thank you, heroes, so much for watching, not just this episode, but the entire run of these so far. I want to say I really do appreciate your patience as I've had to go through this podcast era of reviews where I'm not on camera. I know that was a change for some people. I've seen some of you saying that you hope I get back on camera one day. And this ties into what I was talking about, but I can't really speak to that right now. My next video is going to talk a lot about what I'm getting into, but for the moment, that's not something I can speak to, but I appreciate you wanting to see me, and I appreciate you watching these videos. Now that this video's done, you can let me know down in the comments below what you thought not only of this episode as well as my review of it, but this first run so far. We're halfway through the season. I'm not going to do a half-season recap, review, whatever kind of a video, by the way, but you can let me know what you thought of this first half of the season, this episode in particular, and my review of it down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can check me out on Teespring at Orange Ranger Videos, find masks, shirts, etc., etc. If you can't spend the time watching this video on YouTube, you'd like to listen to it while you're on your commute in the car or on the train or the bus or you're going to the gym or something, you can check me out at Orange Ranger Audio at Anchor.fm or on Spotify. Until whenever next time is, heroes, well, I guess with this announcement / talking about video I've talked about, so until then, salute, may the power protect you. He seems nervous but confident. The 4 injured Rangers will be okay. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video and other things that you do, don't it? That wasn't awkward.